ladies and gentlemen, to the Too Sweet podcast with your boys JP and Too Sweet. I am Revenant Resurrected, best known as BP, with my boy CB. Take it away, CB.
We got a lot in store here. AEW Backlash, X. We got WWE officials talking about blood and guts. We got Hitrow, and we got anime. All my anime fans, stick around to your eternity. We're gonna break that down. That is the last topic of the day. I like to call it the anime corner right now at the moment until we get a better name for it. But first, we're going to start with the Come Man of the Week. Just something in wrestling that makes you say, come on, man. My Come On Man of the Week is Randall Keith Orton. Yes, Randy Orton, Come On Man of the Week. We had RK Bro, my goodness, and a New Day versus AJ Styles, almost Elias Riker. And Randy Orton is RK on everybody in the ring, and we get down to it, and he doesn't RKO Riddle. Like, man, take that dude out. I can't stand Matt Riddle. Man, Come On Man of the Week. If you guys got any Come On Mans of the Week, you're welcome. If not, we'll move on. Do you have any Come On Mans of the Week?
For me personally, let me just say this. My Come On Man of the Week is definitely Randy. But it's also got to be with, MJF. He puts on his heel persona very well. Really, but he makes you, both Randy and MJF make you want to hate him so bad. But even as a face, Randy knows what he's doing, but just is it in between with Randy? Is it in between with Randy right now, or is it just what is the dynamic here?
I have no idea at the moment, man. It's just it's very weird. It's very weird. We can call it that. Very weird.
I think Randy is trying to challenge Big Show for the most amount of face heel turns in wrestling history.
Oh man, that's a long task. So
he's not far off now.
Yeah, he's not far off. So
do you know what? Isn't it hard to like someone like Randy Orton though, who's just so good, but clearly does not care about what he's doing. He's there to get his paycheck, and it's like, right, we're going to put you in a tag team with Riddle, who's on a scooter, and you're going to be like the odd couple, or whatever.
The 420 thing. The 420 thing with Riddle and the channeling of Riddle for Randy. When he goes into his 420 after wrestling is like kind of interesting because I really want to see the whole 420 thing happen with those two. That's what I want to see.
Well, I would like to see that as well.
It's obviously building to do a long-term feud between the two of them, I'm sure. Anybody with half a brain would have to
Randy Orton is going to... Go ahead.
Sorry. The odd couple for a while, and then Orton would just RKO out of nowhere, break the scooter, break the scooter in pieces.
As always, Orton is like Shawn Michaels. He's going to make that turn on his tag partner. But nevertheless, we're going to move on to the AEW review. And AEW has this thing, man, to where nearly every week just feels like a big show. Like, it feels like it's can't miss. And I was juiced up, man. And right away, we get Yuji Nagata versus Moxley. And it's a shame Marie Shadow is not here right now. This is her thing. But nevertheless, this was a very physical matchup, and I think we all expected that. We got it. And man, Yuji versus Mox, I thought that, there's a chance that Yuji could win based on the fact that, we have COVID going on. Moxley can't be in New Japan, all of that stuff. Nevertheless, Mox picks up the victory in what I thought was a very exciting match. What did you guys think?
personally, for me, let me start this off. Like really, that match had a lot. That match had a lot. It had the New Japan, time limit. Even with those kicks, that Mox had brought out, that's not even in his repertoire when it comes to AEW. But you never expect anything like that. But come on, it is crazy. It is crazy how everybody is coming out of the woodwork with that match. Kingston, being the cheerleader / helper with Mox.
Did you guys see the promo that Kingston did on Dark about his heart?
I missed
off the t-shirt.
Oh, he ripped up. Yeah, I did see that. I did see
Oh my
that.
God. That is the best promo I have seen I can't remember a promo. The guy is gold on the mic.
Yes, he is. All the way back. Go ahead. You got it.
Kingston himself, Eddie Kingston. What can I say about the dude? Even though he's dealing with a lot of crap in the wrestling business, even though he's the best
and panic attacks.
Yes, he's dealing with a lot. He's dealing with the panic attacks, and he can. Even in real life, John Moxley is Eddie's best friend, and I consider that a lot. I consider that friendship to be friendship goals right there, and that's just saying something because that dynamic in and of itself. You have best friends Eddie Kingston and John Moxley going up against the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing May 30th. Swear to God, that match is going to be off the hook. Yeah, but what is going to be more off the hook is the announced match. Is the announced match for Double or Nothing.
You got a lot of.
Sorry, that's my dog. It doesn't like John Moxley very much, so it's barking in the background.
We're gonna get into where we're about to go with Double or Nothing.
Before you get to that, can I just say, about the Moxley and the match that was on the other night? One thing I think that's lacking from AEW and from WWE is the real concept of suspension of disbelief. Moxley's been promoted as their number one guy.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I like Moxley, but
there's no way this 50-year-old plus guy is going to come in and beat him title. And if you look at politics as well, the New Japan Pro Wrestling are trying to strengthen hold in America. I watched last week's episode of their show, and other than the tag team match with Moxley and against Nagata and the other partners, the undercard on those shows, there's no real stars on that show. So they need somebody like John Moxley to hold the belt on it. So there's no way that... I knew going into that match was going to be a good match, but there's no way that Moxley was going to lose that belt because Moxley's worth more to New Japan than in America. They need some stars that are based in America representing that as well too, So I don't think that was ever going to happen. So there needs to be a suspension of disbelief, this idea where, you actually have to believe there's a chance of somebody winning that match. And there are some matches where you don't know, and I'm not jumping ahead now, but I don't think any of us really knew who was going to win between Miro and Darby Allin, because Allin is a superstar and Miro is so strong. You want to watch the match, but you really don't know what's going to happen. And there was no way I got that sense from the Moxley match. You knew straight away, I got to say, that even the promos, everything, you knew he was going to win.
And I see Simply Hill has joined in on Twitter Spaces. I just want to let you know that your mic is muted. Maybe you have some things going on at the moment. But okay, there he is. If you got anything, hi man, how's it going? If you got anything to say about the Moxley match, feel free.
I don't watch AEW that much, but that one means I don't want actually lack of time, and I'm from India, so no chance to watching that live. I simply turn on YouTube after the episode and just see some recent matches. Not that much interested with AEW. But yeah, I love Miro and I'm so happy.
We're about to get into Miro. Hold that thought. We're gonna move on to the next topic. We got Cody Rhodes in a promo. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
My God.
Hold on, I'm gonna set it up and then you guys can take it away. We had Cody come out, and one thing I like about AEW is their transitions. Like, they don't give you time to think. Like, they cut to something, and then right after that, it's the next thing. I'll give you credit for that. But Cody has this promo, and he's talking about the USA, and he's talking about the president, and the home of the brave, the land of the free. And I'm like, what is Cody talking about, man? What is he doing? And eventually it turns out that we have the storyline of USA versus the evil foreigner. And I'm like, what I'm thinking is, sure, he has some great stuff to say at the end, but we're better than that now. Like in wrestling, we have moved past that. Like, I don't want to see that type of storyline. What I want to see is, you beat me up, or go, you punched me last week, I want my revenge. That's all it had to be. What did you guys think about that?
It doesn't work for historical reasons either, because the United States and the UK are allies. So they're not the evil foreigners. They're each other's biggest trade partners. They're involved in NATO together. They are on friendly terms with each other. They fought on the same sides on every world war. I mean, it's like they're trying to turn the UK into Russia, right? If he was fighting a Russian fighter, then, you go, all right, fair enough. We're back in 1980s with Boris Koloff and various different pieces, but it just doesn't work. I mean, the only background to this story is that Anthony One Punch put an English flag over Cody after he punched him in the tummy last week. I mean, it's really, really terrible. Again, it highlights what I was saying in the last episode. They need a writer. They need a head writer who says, you know what, Cody, this is going to be a great fight, but let us write the story because this is trash.
Yes, I totally agree. And Revenant, if you want to hop in on that, you got it.
Swear to God, what do I gotta say about that? Like, oh man. Oh my God! I mean, just adding to the fact of Cody and Brandy's unborn child is kind of good storytelling in and of itself, but it kind of puts into perspective that, with the segregations and the problems of American history and how the social hierarchy and anarchy, of everything had happened through the decades. And personally, Cody had hit a lot of points close to home with me. Personally, saying that his daughter is going to be having two identities, and he's not wrong.
Not at all. I love that part of the promo.
No, he's not. And I was okay with that. My wife isn't white. I'm white. My wife isn't. So I kind of got that as well.
I mean, everybody who's listening in YouTube, they need to understand that, social hierarchy or where your status is not what it's supposed to be. It's not what it used to be as well. We need to treat each other with respect, dignity, and even just social grace.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother.
I'm with that.
It just makes the whole character development with Cody absolutely more precious, because after what happened, I nearly cried. I almost did.
Right.
After,
go ahead.
Right when Cody had mentioned, his father. he had mentioned his father, briefly, saying, with AEW on Twitter, saying, they just get a little bit dusty.
Is this really the angle, though, that you want to take the moniker the American Dream from, though? It's hardly the biggest angle. I mean, if he's going to turn into the American Dream, first of all, he needs to put on about 6 stone, and on top of that, it's got to be a bigger angle against a bigger star. The guy can punch, but is he really a wrestler? Is this where you want to make your name?
And
yeah.
Go ahead, you got it, Real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, JP. And with your interjection, what would you say about it?
I don't have a problem with him pulling out the American Dream. That's his dad, and I'm cool with it. I will say, to JP's point, you could have saved that for a bigger match, but here's my deal. Nevertheless, Cody Rhodes, Shawn Spears, who God, I forget the name of the guy who he just fought. That was his friend.
QT Marshall.
QT Marshall.
Yeah.
Shawn Spears.
That was a great match.
Shawn Spears, QT. I'm not saying Cody has done this in every feud, because he's put over guys like Darby. But you cannot stop another person's momentum. You have got to put over a go-go at Double or Nothing. A go-to at Double or Nothing. This cannot be another Cody Rhodes wins match. He has to pick the guy over.
I don't see it happening, lads.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with JP on this one. I gotta agree with JP because really, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because he's the executive VP, and that's not gonna work for Cody.
And did you guys read anything about? Supposedly, there's a bit of heat between the EVPs. Cody has fallen out with Omega and the Young Bucks.
I've heard that, and
I've also heard that as well.
And that is man, we're talking about the foundation of AEW, the guys that started the entire thing, and that would be problematic, one would think. And I hope they get it together, if that is indeed true.
Tony Khan has another reason to be annoyed this week, because I don't know whether he paid too much attention to Europe, but Tony Khan's family own a Premiership football team in England called Fulham.
Yeah.
And I know they were relegated, so in the American system, I know that it's a conference system, so everybody stays in the same league, but in the English system, the three teams that finished the worst get kicked out. And Fulham were relegated the other night, and it's the difference of about $100 million in revenue per annum.
My God.
So they got to try and get back up, but so he's failed. They failed really in football. So I can imagine he's going to go all in, if you want to pardon the fun now, with AEW to try and do as good as they can with it.
I agree with that. And that is tough. So AEW has to come through for him. And I guess we'll move on to the next topic at hand. SCU versus the Young Bucks. And I gotta say, there are certain points in time to where I don't buy the Young Bucks as heels. It's like they're trying to play a character at times for me. It feels like they're trying to play a character instead of being themselves. But nevertheless, I thought that they did a good job in this match. Got Daniels bleeding on, I forget if it was Nick or Matt's shoe. They mocked Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, for goodness sakes. I thought that was pretty funny. And
I'm sorry, I love you.
That was gold. That was gold, man.
I mean, come on. Come on. As I was watching the match, I was completely in shock, and I mean, you know, the mocking of Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair through that carrying of the match because I've been hearing, you know, I didn't watch the interview with Rick, you know, explaining that match, but I knew about it because I actually saw highlights of it, and I actually was able to see the match on the Facebook page of WWE.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, you know, honestly, with the mockery of that, it's like, you know, what's the point? Like, what's the point of it? But the family dynamic of Daniels and Kazarian, and not just Daniels and Kazarian, but the Bucks as well. It's like the Bucks having an ego trip and absolutely, you know, not being themselves, being manipulated by Callis, and Omega, you know, being a pawn in Callis' schemes as well. It's like,
right.
It's like the three members of the Elite being pawns in a chessboard, and yes, I'm using chess terminology here.
Cyrus the Virus, lads. He's back.
yes, Cyrus the Virus, lads.
The whole thing, though, I nearly guessed this is going to be a Jim Cornette clip next week, right? One problem that AEW has always had is that they pay too much attention to what's going on in WWE.
Yeah.
So that whole section of, you know, I'm sorry, I love you, they're basically giving free advertisement to their opposition.
That's a fair point.
They're driving people to YouTube. They're driving people to YouTube to watch that clip, and there's loads of instances of it happening. Like, do you remember when AEW kicked off? I think it was probably the first major event they had, and Cody Rhodes came out onto the stage with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Had a throne on the stage, which was made to look like Triple H's throne.
Yeah.
And he smashed it.
Double or nothing.
And double or nothing. And you're thinking, lads, your whole point was to try and provide something different to what the other side are doing. And you're dragging them up week in, week out, talking about doing stuff. And I mean, the Young Bucks might think that that's clever, aping Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. But it just highlights maybe the difference. Like, that was peak WWE, and AEW has not reached that peak yet. So I think they should be concentrating more on their own stories rather than aping what's going on in other places.
I gotta agree to a certain extent there. Nevertheless, the Bucks pick up the victory. I wanted to see SCU win there. Like and maybe we can do something at Double or Nothing. We have the rematch, then the Bucks win that. I would have liked to have seen that. Nevertheless, we what? Go ahead.
He's 52 years old.
Yeah.
Again, it's about credibility. Again, like we were talking about earlier. He looks fit, but he's 52. And I know the Bucks look like Matt Jackson looks like he's in his 50s. They're not. They're still in their 30s. You have to have some level of consistency there and some believability.
They're still in their 40s and they still doing a flippy crap, man. They still doing a flippy shit. Like really. Like, really.
But that's what made them. That's what made them. I don't think they're in their 40s yet. I think they're still. I think Nick is Nick older than Matt, but one looked older than the other.
I mean, if you look at it, Nick would be the youngest. Nick would be older in some degree to Matt, and if you look at it vice versa, it would be the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah. Right. Before we move on, if Resilient, if you want to jump in, I don't want to move on without you. If you have anything to say about SCU and the Bucks.
Sorry,
thank you. Well, no, I mean, it was very unfortunate to see like the outcome of the match. And when I saw Christopher Daniels post open that way, I was like, oh no, somebody's got to stop this. But I don't know. Christopher Daniels tweeted this might be the end, but I think that the keyword here is might. I don't know. I still have the hope of SCU reuniting later on, maybe with the Scorpio Sky, as it was intended. And for next week, I don't see the Varsity Blondes winning, but I don't know. I hope that it'll be a good match.
Well, before we move on to the next thing at hand, what I would like to say, man, I did not like the fact that they cut away from the SCU moment at the end to jump to Mox and Kingston trashing the Elite's locker room. Like, we had a moment there and they actually hugged, and we didn't get to see that until after the break. So I didn't too much like that. What's up? Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. You got it.
No, sorry, go ahead. No, I think the same. I mean, they jumped too quick into that. I mean, they should have. We did have like that expression on Frankie Kazarian, and it was like my same expression, really.
Right.
Like, no words.
Right.
Yeah, and I should have let them have their moments. And yes, I do agree on that. They jumped too quick into Eddie Kingston and Mox, man, the lights in the Elite room.
Right. I totally agree. As we move on to the next thing at hand, Christian has an open contract, and it's going to be Matt Sydal versus Christian. They will both be in the Casino Battle Royal. Matt Sydal, that's a match that, man, I'm really excited for. I think it's going to bang.
That's a match from WWE Heat 2007. That's what that is.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah. That's going to bring a lot of memories for me because really I will definitely give my thoughts on that because Matt Sydal in and of itself, I've seen his career through Ring of Honor, through his stint in WWE, when he was getting jobbed out, but through Christian, I mean, Christian himself, Christian and Matt, that has some history. That has some history, and they're gonna elevate it to AEW standards. Just doing what they do best. Right. I really hope that match becomes an instant classic.
It very much has.
Pun intended.
It very much has the possibility to be so. As we move on to the next topic, Pac versus Orange Cassidy. I gotta say that, like I said last week, they turned me all the way around from rooting for Pac to win to rooting for Orange Cassidy to win. Nevertheless, we had a match, and it came out that Orange Cassidy got hurt on that Liger bomb. They had to call an audible. Omega hits Pac with the title. They both get counted out, and we have a triple threat match for Double or Nothing. To you know what? That is the best possible outcome. Very excited about that. What do you guys think? Triple threat at Double or Nothing.
I hate to sound negative, but if neither of them lose, is that not the worst possible outcome? Because you're burying two guys instead of one.
Yeah, there's a point to be made there.
Yeah, I like Orange Cassidy, but I don't like him as an actual champion. I mean, you can't just a champion that keeps his hands in his pockets all the time. You're gonna do against the likes of Mir, whereas Pac is incredible. That 450 thing he does after.
Fingers
Red Arrow. I have never seen anything like it. The guy is, for a small lad, he is physically very impressive. He is brilliant, and he's believable. Orange Cassidy is, he's the opposite of that character that Ryan Reynolds plays in that movie Droids, and he came from Shikara, and he might work in Shikara, but we're talking about a national wide promotion. You can't beat a guy by
right.
Yeah,
You got
I think
how long is it going to go on for? Like, how long is he going to get away with that for? Like, is there going to be some character arc where he kind of loses the rag and develops a personality and starts talking. Or it's just,
Well,
I don't know how long.
I don't have
I
a.
should say as well, remember, I do love AEW, but it just frustrates me with some of the stuff they do. Storytelling.
I feel you.
Yeah. Sorry.
You got it.
Yeah, no, I think Kenny will retain either Pac wins or Kenny retains. I don't know, but for some reason, Chris Cassidy maybe in the future going to the TNT title. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't see him as a world champion just yet. It doesn't fit his personality.
And I gotta agree with that. Just so long as I was watching the match last night, and I was like, okay, Orange Cassidy has to try here and be the regular gimmick. And you know what? It started off as, you know what? Orange Cassidy left the games alone after the beginning where he put shades on him and he went at him. So I appreciate that. But no, he can't be the world champion. Kenny Omega will retain. As we move on to the next topic at hand, it's going to be Hangman versus Brian Cage at Double or Nothing. That is going to be a physical match. I would like to see a stipulation at it. Hangman is definitely going to get his victory back on that. Just a quick, who do you have winning, Hangman or Brian Cage?
I see Hangman getting his win back.
Okay.
I see Hangman getting the W on this one.
All right.
Hangman.
All right, we're all in agreement then. 4 Hangmans, and we'll see what happens. Nevertheless, the next topic, Pinnacle, the Pinnacle celebration. And the first thing I saw, I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? You know, we have this big celebration. Something has to happen. And we had them out. MJF has a great promo. He says there's not going to be a rematch. Tully Blanchard grabs the mic, and when Tully Blanchard grabs the mic, like, I just put down my phone, I stopped what I'm doing, and I'm like, okay, Tully, take me there, Tully. What you got?
It's awesome.
He is awesome, man. And he gives them watches, and all of a sudden, we have the Inner Circle come out, and they're in a tank or whatever the case was, and they wanted a rematch. They didn't get a rematch initially, and they sprayed them Stone Cold Steve Austin style with the bubbly. They sprayed the Pinnacle, and they eventually get the rematch at Double or Nothing. It will be a stadium stampede match, and I'm just here to say this. Like, we just had War Games. I don't want to see somebody have a War Games match, somebody have a Hell in a Cell match, and then turn around and say, okay, let's do it again a few weeks later. Like, to me, that kind of devalues War Games, in my opinion. I'm sure it's going to be an excellent match, but it devalues War Games, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think Chris Jericho falling off the roof onto a load of cardboard boxes devalues War Games more than Stadium Stampede could ever devalue it. Just before you even get to that, like, again, going back to what I was saying about nodding to the other federation, like, spraying the Pinnacle with the bubbly, I mean, it's exactly just robbing ideas from WWE again. You know, you have the Austin beer truck followed by the Kurt Angle milk truck, and now you have the bubbly, right?
Right.
It's not an original idea. It's the same. It's robbing an idea from the bigger federation. It's new ideas, and like Stadium Stampede is something new. You know, it's something different from what WWE does. And even though their War Games is different, like, just again going back to, there should be a writer, there should be somebody in the room who goes, "Hey lads, we can't do this because WWE did this 3 times already in the last 15 years, and we're going to just look like we're a Costco version of what's going." I'm using my Americanisms here. Costco version of what they're doing already. You know.
Right.
Well,
that terminology is funny. That terminology is funny. Oh my god.
I don't know that it's not totally, well, not that different, but do you remember that segment with the Spirit Squad and DX when they were mocking the McMahon?
Yes.
way worse. I'm glad it wasn't a nervous, but yeah, I mean, I saw the comparisons with Nitro and everything, and I mean, the inner circle hasn't accepted, but in case they do, not only will it be a stadium stampede match, but if they lose, they have to disband. So let's see what happens.
That's not.
I want to see the Pinnacle win that match because I have the thing of this. I think every member of the inner circle is better off on their own than they were in the inner circle. To me, I think the only person that it enhances is Hager. Like,
I tell you something. Sorry to interrupt. I watched that War Games, and Hager looked the best I've ever seen him in that match.
He did really well.
I thought he was, considering he's fairly limited. I mean, I thought when he came into it initially and he was bounding around the place and the suplexes, he looked better than I've ever seen him. No, he doesn't have to do much in terms of character because he just stands there and doesn't say anything. But physically, he looked better than I've ever seen him.
Right.
He was the only one that stepped up to Wardlow.
Yeah, that was a great moment in that match.
But they're building that, obviously. Like, you know, Wardlow's 1-0 there already. Like, he has the original victory. But I think Hager has to be part of the group because he needs to be the guy that's standing around in the background that's quiet. That he can't do it on his own. And WWE knew that as well, which is why they put him with Dutch Mantel, you know?
Yes.
Or whatever. Because he needed to have somebody to talk for him. But he looks much better, I think, than he ever did in WWE. So to give AEW their props, there are fellas that are coming in from WWE and women as well who look far better suited and getting a far better roll of the dice in AEW than they ever did in WWE. Ted Conti would be another good example there as well, you know.
Right. I gotta agree with that. As we move on to the next matchup, Thunder Rosa got a squash match against Jasmine Allure. Not much to talk about there. I think Thunder Rosa is the next in line after faced the winner at Double or Nothing between Britt.
Did you see the stipulation though in the NWA Power episode this week though?
Well, yes, I did. Go ahead and speak on that.
She's facing Camille in NWA, and the stipulation there is if she loses, she can no longer appear in any other federations. So if she loses a match in NWA, that's the end of her in AEW. Now, she's also coming to the end of her contract, so I think it's fairly clear where she's going to be signing.
Yeah, that would be fair.
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Go ahead.
I don't think she's going to go after her. Definitely.
What's that?
Sorry, no, that whoever wins the match between Shida and Britt Baker, most likely Britt Baker, and Double or Nothing, Thunder Rosa is gonna go after her. Or at least that's what she said on Dark.
Yeah. And moving on to the final topic of the day. I mean, not of the day, of AEW. Miro versus Darby. I gotta say, going into this match, I tweeted out Miro. Was that?
I'm so happy. I was really very happy. Got the news, Miro. But that match was a little. I mean, that was not very clean or straightforward match. He did start already Darby before the match. But that was good. And I like when Sting and Darby got the call, bro sign. I don't know what it's called.
Right. It was.
But I like the match.
It was a very physical match, brutal. Darby, I've been feeling sorry for Darby, man. The dude just gets thrown around left and right. And
like a bouncing ball.
Right. It ended the match. Miro locks him in the submission, picks up the win. Miro is the new champion. What do y'all think about Miro picking up the victory there?
As for Darby, I mean, the emo title. As for Darby, but it was really. I'm happy for Miro. It's his first championship within the AEW.
Right.
But I'm not sad for Darby. I mean, the promo that he gave at the end, how much that TNT title meant to him, and along the way, you see even the Dark Order came up to his face. That's what I thought during this match. Where is the Dark Order? We need their intervention right now, and they came out with
Right.
I have a theory where this is going, right?
Okay.
So here's my theory. They've already indicated that Lance Archer is next for Miro. I was listening to one of the 3 or 4 weekly podcasts week talking about ratings and the impact that Darby Allin has on ratings. And their highest segments seem to be the segments of Darby Allin. So I think they are building Darby Allin as challenger for Kenny Omega.
Wow. You know what? That would be interesting. My pick was Hangman for Omega, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad if it was Darby. I wouldn't be mad at all.
If you think about it, Darby has Sting. And Sting has mainstream appeal, and he brings the older wrestling fans with him. And I think the only thing that Darby Allin and Sting have in common really is that they both wear face paint. but if the older eyes go on Darby and as a challenge towards Kenny Omega, have a really, really strong feud built there. And you can do all sorts of stuff with him because Darby's going to end up in a wheelchair anyway by the looks of things. So he'll be throwing off ceilings and well, he is. I mean, if you see the stuff he does.
Well, no, yeah, I'm agreeing. Like maybe
it's where it's going, and that's certainly the way I would book it.
Right. And yeah, man, we'll see about Darby's body. Maybe he has the Jeff Hardy body to where he just gets old and he just keeps doing this stuff. We'll see. But if there's not anything, go ahead.
Jeff Hardy, and the stamina.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy, man, he's just jumping onto things left and right, man. So if there's nothing else on AEW, I'll move on. I'll open the floor if you guys got anything else. All right. We'll move on to WWE Backlash. I'm not calling it what they call it. When I was a teenager, it was WWE Backlash, and that's what we're gonna call it.
Same with me. Come on, really?
Yeah.
WrestleMania Backlash? Why?
Yeah, I mean, they just feel the need to change things for the sake of change, and the original thing is nice enough.
They're peacocking, if you want to pardon me.
Yeah.
There's an Irish expression, lads, right? I don't know if you've heard this before. It's called, you can't shine shit, right?
Yeah.
Or an American version of it is, you can't polish a turd.
Yeah, there you go.
No matter how much you try and polish it, it's still a turd, right? And
yes, sir.
Backlash was always one of those pay-per-views meant to look, which is an extra one in the calendar. And I think just putting the word WrestleMania in front of it, because that's going to make it look better, you know.
Right.
It won't. I won't be watching it. It won't.
Well, nevertheless, the first match is oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, no, I don't watch that anymore. So
right, it's man, Raw's a tough watch for me. It's just SmackDown can be pretty decent at times, but nevertheless, first matchup is Lashley McIntyre versus Braun. I'm one to say that what are we adding Braun for? Like, when Braun got added, everybody was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, it's not Lashley versus Drew. And I'm just sitting there saying, man, give me the Lashley versus Drew rematch. That's what I want to see at Backlash. Nevertheless, my pick is Bobby Lashley to win. I don't really see the need to take the title off of him. What do you guys take on that?
I think he's going to win. Yeah,
Bobby's going to retain. I don't care. He needs to keep the title.
Yeah, I mean, I think Strowman's in there to take the pin so that they don't weaken Drew.
That's a very good point. Very, very good point. As we ship on to the next match, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. I cannot tell you guys how happy I am to see Cesaro getting the main event push. We have this storyline now with Jimmy, Jay, and Roman, to which I'm hoping that doesn't end in the cliche Jimmy falls in line and that's he's with Roman and Jay. I hope it has a little bit more. There is a little bit more layers to that. Nevertheless, as with Lashley, I don't see the point in taking the title off of Roman Reigns. Cesaro is a great choice for this match, but no, I don't see him taking the title off of Roman. What do you guys think?
No, they're not taking the title off him. I mean, I don't think there's only two people that are taking that title off of Roman Reigns. One is John Cena. He comes back. The other is Brock Lesnar.
Wow.
There's nobody there taking that title off Roman Reigns. They're doing press. Paul Heyman gave an interview last week where he said, we are building an all-time great in Roman Reigns. And I love Cesaro. I think he's probably the strongest wrestler they have, but he's not beating Roman Reigns. There's nobody on that roster beating Roman Reigns.
Right. I gotta totally agree with that. Roman is gonna have that title. We'll see what happens at SummerSlam, but I think he's gonna have the title at least through SummerSlam and possibly longer. As we move on to the next topic at hand, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. I think this is going to be an excellent matchup. I'm glad Bayley is getting something after the way that they did her at WrestleMania, man. Like, it's Bayley. Like, she should be doing something, like at least make her the host of something. But Bianca Belair versus Bayley, going to be a terrific matchup. Candidate for match of the night at this point. Like, I see why you say Backlash is that pay-per-view that's just sitting there, because what are you going to do? Bianca Belair just won the title. And obviously, we know the result. Bianca Belair wins. What do you guys thought?
Man, personally, I want Bianca to keep the damn title because Baby Girl needs to keep the title because she just won it. She just won the title at WrestleMania. For one thing, man, she just won the title.
So she needs to show she's the toughest here, and I think the match is very clean. And she will be very dominant.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, simply. Thank you.
And
I mean, honestly, it just makes sense. It just makes sense.
Total sense. Total sense. She has to have a long, dominant reign. Yeah. She has to have a long, dominant reign before she loses.
There's only one person that's going to beat Bianca Belair for that match. And that's Lily the doll.
Lily, hey, we're actually gonna get into Lily after this, so save it. That is actually a topic. So when we move, yeah. Let's get through the other matches. Rhea Ripley, I've lost all my train of thought.
Sorry for that.
Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair. We got a triple threat. You know, for as much crap as I give WWE for the booking of Charlotte Flair, I just can't stand it. She's come in, and I really like this Charlotte Karen Flair heel gimmick. She's getting people to hate her. She's getting into title matches. And as for the winner, this is going to be an awesome match. There's always the Charlotte Flair thing out there that WWE has with her. But I got Rhea Ripley winning this match. What do you guys have?
I got Ripley winning the match. Personally, because Charlotte wants to win. She wants to win the title back because she got blown off. And I'm like, really having Sonya Deville a part of her corner actually makes a lot of sense because I think Daddy Deville, yes, I'm using the Twitter name. I think Daddy Sonya Deville would make a huge impact and completely, make some sense of it. But with that happening, I think we can see a face turn with Rhea at some point down the line after the match, or just keeping Rhea as a heel.
Right.
She's not a real heel, though, really, is she?
No.
She doesn't do dastardly things like a heel does. She wins matches cleanly. She doesn't break.
Right.
She's a heel. I'd say she's more a tweener than a heel.
Yeah, more of the filthy animals than anything.
Right, there you go.
So I think between them. So he put Charlotte between them.
Right.
Like people have said with Oscar.
People are saying
Rhea. Like people have said with Oscar and Rhea simply, there is no chemistry. There's no chemistry with Rhea and Oscar. But there is a lot of chemistry.
Charlotte is here to get the better.
Yeah. With Charlotte, she can pull off the dastardly, movies and attacking people from behind. And I'm like, honestly, with Charlotte and Deville, that could be a dangerous duo, right?
Right. And yeah, I agree with that.
Is there any reason why Deville is not wrestling? I know there's the stalking trial that's going on outside, the guy that broke into her house and that. But
Right.
she was
A long time ago,
in that feud she had with Mandy Rose, wasn't it?
Yes.
Was it Mandy Rose?
Yes, that was Mandy.
She's a good wrestler. Why is she not wrestling?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I thought that she's a future world champion, so I have no idea why they have her sitting on the side being a general manager. But nevertheless, we move on. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, the Dirty Dogs versus the Mysterios. This doesn't excite me.
Personally, I'm saying this for reasons because I just want to get this out of the way because clearly the main situation is the Dirty Dogs are going to keep the titles, but really if a miracle happens, I want the Studios to win to become the first ever father-son WWE tag team champs.
Yeah.
That's my dream, but it's not just because it would be a father-son moment, but it would be off my bucket list of seeing shit that I really want to see.
Like, didn't Vince McMahon and Hornswoggle win the tag team titles at one match?
No.
I'm quite joking.
No, hey, one thing is that
Father, son,
I'm not getting
the son, man.
Right.
From January or Feb, I think. No. Yeah, but a very long time happened. They some other thing came. Then between Steve Dog, they off spot. Then after 1 month, Dragon came. we want our titles, we want our titles. So that it's not going anywhere.
Well,
2 weeks ago, Street Profits came and I want our title, we want our title.
right.
I don't know why they said match between you, they can give it to SummerSlam, you know? Very straightforward them.
And moving.
I have a very unpopular opinion
Okay.
about Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
I think he's one of the most overrated wrestlers in history.
Ooh.
Every single Rey Mysterio match is the same.
Yeah.
I can tell you now, right? It's a couple of arm drags. It's bouncing off the ropes. It's a West Coast pop. You can actually see the match happening as it's happening. There's absolutely no variation in those matches, whether he's against Great Khali or he's against Hitrow or he's against Robert Roode. I just think he is incredibly overrated, and I'm going no on his WWE group rather than AEW. As I said, it's an unpopular opinion.
I go back.
You know, that's why they didn't put Kalisto.
I go back to Ray's WCW days, and from the very start. Like Ray, to me, he is the main thing that the wrestling that we see today is because of Rey Mysterio. Like the style of wrestling from these guys and gals that we see today, this quick style, these topes flying everywhere. To me, that comes from Rey Mysterio and that cruiserweight division.
There's variation in those guys. Every pack match isn't the same. Every Kalisto match isn't the same. Every Rey Mysterio match is the same. For me, the best thing Rey Mysterio ever did was to be thrown against the wall as a dart by Kevin Nash.
Okay, that was funny. But his WCW matches had tremendous variation with Dean Malenko, with Chris Jericho, with Parker, with whomever in the cruiserweight division. But
I mean, one Rey Mysterio match in the last 20 years that hasn't been the same as every other Rey Mysterio match in the last 20 years.
Ooh, man, I gotta go back and think on that one. I'm on the spot right now. Let me go back and look at that. We'll revisit it next week.
Come back next week. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the last match, we have Damian Priest versus The Miz in a lumberjack match, and I really thought Damian Priest should have been moving on after WrestleMania, but I got Damian Priest picking up the win here. Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got Damian winning that match. Got Damian winning too.
Alrighty. Moving on, as we are done with Backlash, where are we moving on here? Oh, before WWE officials had a report come out that WWE officials said that Blood and Guts set wrestling back 30 years. And I'm just here to say...
Saying by the guys that brought us Lily the Dog.
And Lashley Sisters. Like, that's what I'm saying. We can look at WWE programming, and there's something on Monday Night Raw just about every week that sets wrestling back 30 years, not Blood and Guts. So what do you guys have on that?
Well, look at Lily the Doll. I know you said we were going to talk about her later, but the stuff that Alexa Bliss is doing is what Papa Shango was doing in 1992.
It is.
So they're recycling stuff from 30 years ago. So there's a little bit of pot caught in the kettle black going on there, you know?
Right.
But for me at this point, Nascapi would be more enjoyable than sitting through 3 hours of Raw a week. Jesus.
That has you questioning. Like, I sit sometimes, I watch Raw, and I think, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing?
And who's Cameron Grimes, lads?
Cameron Grimes has been, he's been pretty funny to me.
What's his character?
He's this rich guy that has gotten into stocks, and Ted DiBiase keeps foiling him at every turn.
That's my point. He's the $1 million man from 30 years ago.
That's a good point.
So it's recycling the same stories from 30 years ago. They've the cheek then to turn around and say that AEW are bringing wrestling back from 30 years.
Right.
I mean, take the twig out of your own eyes, lads.
Yes.
And they said because it doesn't fit their PG thing that they're doing, and they supposed to accept that 30 years ago. I don't know, better.
Exactly, you're dead right, yeah. You're dead right. They're spooked by AEW clearly because
they are.
If they didn't care about them, they wouldn't be mentioning them at all.
Right. So as we shift to the next topic, a possible Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss feud. Alexa Bliss was sitting on the rampway as Charlotte won the 3-woman tag match, and we had that little stare-off with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. And you know what? I'm here for it. Alexa Bliss, Lily. we can have our thoughts on Lily. I'm not all that big of a fan, but just so long as they don't have Charlotte Flair, we don't do the thing to where Charlotte Flair is afraid of Alexa Bliss because she turned into dark Alexa Bliss. We don't do that, and I'm a fan of this possible feud. What do you guys think?
Do you not think it's Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler based on Bliss's leg?
That's a good point as well. Well, either I'll say this much. What do you think if it's either Alexa versus Charlotte or Alexa versus Shayna Baszler?
It shouldn't be any of them. We've all seen Alexa Bliss in the ring. She's not up to it. The only person Alexa Bliss should be wrestling is Eva Marie. And they should knock each other out and never be seen again.
Oh, wow.
Going back to 30 years thing, we've spent the last couple of years building superb wrestlers like Bianca Belair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and even our very own Irish champion, Becky Lynch.
Yes, sir.
And what you're doing is they're going back 30 years with the likes of Alexa Bliss, right? And it was like almost like Baby Doll, you could say, or you're 30 years. Eva Marie, you're bringing it back to you're only Eva Marie is only 2 or 3 steps away from bra and panties, which was possibly the worst thing that ever happened. Which sucks.
Yeah. I'll tell you another thing that's
imagine being Bayley who can't get on WrestleMania. I would say this shite of Alexa Bliss. Who would it done?
I got 2 candidates for Brian Sankey. Charlotte Murdoch versus Eva Marie. The 2 perfect contenders for Brian Sankey.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
So, as we ship to the next topic, excuse me, sorry about that. Hitrow. I don't know if you guys saw NXT, but God, I'm forgetting his name.
AJ Francis.
No.
AJ Francis.
No, not AJ Francis. Swerve Scott. Swerve Scott. How could I forget that? Swerve Scott. Top Dollar, who's AJ Francis, Ashante the Adonis, and Brianna Brandy. When you have these type of storylines, for me as a black person, I kind of wrestle with: is it stereotypical, or do they have them in stereotypical roles, or do they have them in roles that I really like? And this one is a role that I really like. I feel like it's something different from the normal of what we see on NXT. It's characters as opposed to just wrestling. So I really like them. I like their theme music. I like the presentation. And you know what? I want to see if Top Dollar and Ashanti the Adonis goes after the tag titles. I want to see if Brianna Brandy goes after the women's championship. I'm excited. What do you guys think?
I
yourself lucky that your superstition is cruel. I'm an Irish person. Our superstitions were Hornswoggle, Finlay, and Seamus.
Yep. Stereotypical.
So you got it cool, man.
Man, my superstition has got to be with Too Sweet on this one. I mean, really, as a black person myself, I find this, not comical, but I find this interesting in more ways. One, because this puts a little bit more diversity and dynamic in a group faction. Instead of your stereotypical gangsters, going after the championships and stuff like that. Like really, Crime Time in and of itself had made a foundation of being a fun act, which made it work. I mean, JTG, even though JTG is not wrestling anymore, he would be a great inspiration to that fact. And to be fair, Hitrow is a prime example of a new generation of black wrestlers that really needs to shine. And if we were to put Ember Moon, a part of that, or anyone else, as the next members of Hitrow, then we have something here. Then we have.
Meanwhile, Keith Lee is sitting at home on his couch. Nothing.
Oh my goodness.
He's making cryptic tweets though, like he's seasoning a return, and we are possibly going to be seeing, Keith Lee and Mia Yim be a part of SmackDown.
He's debuting this week, actually.
Really?
Yeah, which is good.
I would absolutely love to see that. Like,
the bring to everybody's attention. I mean, Aleister Black, almost slash vignette. Like, wow.
They're actually doing something with him.
I am honest to God interested with the lore that Aleister Black is coming up with. I mean, not just with the book, not just with his new persona. I mean, it's just that dark, brooding, antithesis of a character that pretty much has everybody's and applaud turns into despair, disgust, and Aleister Black can feed off of that.
You just described Bray Wyatt 2 years ago. Where is he now?
Really? He's struggling. He is struggling because of what happened with John Huber. Like God rest his soul. I mean people like Cesaro, people like Austin, and even FTR at this point, they love John Twins. They love him. They loved him with all their heart, and that's why wrestling in and of itself is just the way that it is now, and they can't get around without him. I mean, they have a guardian angel. They can build off, with the spirit, but using his name and telling everybody to keep using him, for these storylines and stuff like that, it's not gonna help. It's not gonna help. I mean, they did it with Eddie Guerrero, and they overdid it.
Yes.
And that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that really annoyed me when I was watching wrestling. When I was watching wrestling then, still with the ruthless aggression era. But now that I think about it, with some of the wrestlers passing and some of these celebrity passings, we gotta preserve their memories. We gotta preserve their memories and their lives with positive influence instead of negative influence.
No more this Eddie's and hell stuff is what you're saying.
Right. Oh, that turned my stomach, man. That turned my stomach. That's around the time where WWE was just getting away with anything that they absolutely wanted. No accountability. Well, whatsoever.
Yeah, Orton gave an interview during the week about that, saying how uncomfortable he felt that WWE he had spoken to Guerrero about that, and that she signed off on it, saying Eddie would have seen the funny side out of that.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, I'm applauding Vicky because Vicky knows what she's doing. She still loves Eddie like everybody does, including myself. I mean, I grew up watching Eddie, from the time when 2004 before his passing in 2005. I mean, really, I got to see the last few moments, the last few months of the great Eddie Guerrero being the guy that he is, and after killing it with the business with his heroes and his frog splash and his Latino charm.
Yes, sir. Yes.
One of the greats. I asked, did you guys see the Dark Side of the Ring film episode?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
Speaking of showing respect for the dead and that, did you see the bit about they had the day after Pillman died, they had his wife live.
Oh my goodness.
Being interviewed by Vince McMahon, and she basically had only one request: don't ask me anything about drugs or painkillers. And he went straight into it and asked her about it. And you can see her face in the video where she's utterly broken, where it's I can't believe you just asked me that on
that is the lowest of the low, and Vince McMahon has gotten away with so much, and the man just died, for goodness sakes. And then, like you said, she had one request, and you shouldn't have asked her to be on TV in the first place. She's grieving, and that was low, man. That was low.
Yeah. And that's saying something, to a point, because somebody who pretty much provided for his wife and for their kid, mind you, like their son, BP Jr.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman Jr. I mean, come on, Brian Pillman Jr. Brian Jr. might be a jerk, it might be an a-hole, but at least he's trying to bring that passion back with his father's legacy.
Yes, he is.
He's doing a damn fine job of it with the Varsity Blonde.
Yes, he is.
What anybody says.
When you say he may be an a-hole, are you just saying that's possible, or is there evidence of that?
Pretty much because of the whole BTE thing, or if you just see him at an autograph session where he's being mean, then there's evidence of that.
Well,
no, actually no, not in real life. No, he's not a heel, but if you were to just talk to him, about his wrestling or his upbringing, then yeah, he's definitely gonna have a lot of animosity. He's gonna have a lot of animosity. What happened with his father.
And
Well-
as JR said on the documentary, he says that he has been advising Brian as well. Look, carry on the legacy of your dad, but do not become a loose cannon. And
yeah.
Thank you, Resilient. Thank you.
I will say. Go ahead,
I'm
Rashawn.
going to heel here again, though, and say I don't think he has the talent. He's trading off the name.
I think he has he's very, very young. So I mentioned this yesterday. Stone Cold didn't become Stone. I'm not saying he's going to be Stone Cold. Don't get me wrong. But Stone Cold didn't really become that gimmick until he was like 35 or something like that. 34, 35, 36. So these guys that are like 22, 23, let's give them to where they're in the mid 30s. But then, we'll see if they got it.
Like different stuff. Because the world of wrestling has changed, and you will never get the same or the same peak of wrestling as you had with Stone Cold, as you had with these guys. They won't get the same opportunity. I mean, when Stone Cold was at his peak, you had 8, 9, 10 million people. Raw.
Right.
Under 2 million now.
Yeah. I mean, they won't ever reach that level, but I think that, there could be a point in time where we look at, Brian Pillman Jr. and be like, okay, he could be a top star down the line. We don't know as it pertains to right now, but we'll see. We'll see.
As a person, what I took from Abraham, I'm also no speaker of growing up without a dad and with an emotionally abusive parent and a stepdad and also what that's so like make amends with her mom and try to put everything behind him. That got me very emotional, and I really admire him for that. Not everyone has the guts to rise above everything and try to be better,
Right, and same here, man. I admire him for that as well. Also, the one thing I was hoping they would portray in that documentary was that Brian Pillman was a hell of a wrestler, and I think that people forget that because his gimmick was so great that it goes overlooked that he had some great wrestling ability, and I thought that they did it over really well.
They did showcase part of his flying abilities, but his very gimmick persona overshadowed that a little bit. But yes, he was a great wrestler.
Right.
Friend with the heart.
Right. Oh man, yeah. Revenant, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. As we move on to the final topic of the day, we got the anime corner, and this week is To Your Eternity. And Revenant, I saw episode 1, and you said it was a real tearjerker, and yeah, man, that's exactly what it is. I'll go to a quick synopsis of episode 1, and you can give your overall viewpoint. I'll come back with mine. And if you guys have watched To Your Eternity, you can jump in on that as well. But basically, we have an orb that's transformed into a wolf. We have a boy that meets the wolf, and this young man is just going through hell and high water to get to paradise. And you could tell that something was going to happen. For me, I thought the wolf was going to tear the boy up. Nevertheless, the boy eventually dies, and the wolf takes on human form, and we're left on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, okay, what's going to happen next? Revenant, what you got on episode 1?
Honestly, for me, what can I take away from all the episodes currently airing on Crunchyroll or even just on Funimation? Personally, it takes a toll on you, like emotionally, with the characters and with the death. Like as my friend says, as my Dub Hunter podcast, partnership, never get too attached to a character that you love, because in the end, honestly, just what happened in the most recent episode of To Your Eternity, it's still resonating in my freaking head. It's still resonating in my head and in my heart. Like Harold getting the march.
I have I still have to catch up on the latest episode myself.
No, we're gonna love March. We're gonna love you're gonna love March. Yes, we're gonna love March. And what do we got? March is just so damn adorable. It is just adorable.
Well,
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, honestly, March is just adorable. I mean, really, dying with a smile, knowing that you either get, killed from something, or you die due to natural causes. You always have to smile.
And well, I tell you what, man, I'm watching that and I'm like, geez, man, this kid is just going through it, injury after injury after injury. And I'm looking at the wolf and I'm like, okay, this wolf is gonna strike at any given moment. It's like Randy Orton, the apex predator. He's just gonna come out of nowhere. And I was wrong about that. But you can see that the kid was not gonna make it at the end of episode 1. And I gotta say that I'm excited. I really want to see what's next as episode 2, 3, 4, and 5. I will catch up on that next week, and we'll have the latest episode breakdown from the latest episode coming up next week.
And with that, we are out of time.
Yes, sir. If y'all have any final wrestling takes that y'all have, feel free. If not, go ahead.
Sorry. No, regarding the Hitrow thing, well, you know that they're teasing that with the if you don't know, now you know, and all of that.
Yes.
And I wonder how much are they going to exploit of that, and I wonder also who is going to be the first to kick them off.
It's gonna.
I'm
go ahead.
I'm going to put a challenge, and remind you of that challenge here for the episode next week.
Rey Mysterio.
Find a Rey Mysterio match that's been all the other Rey Mysterio matches for the last 20 years.
You know what? I am going to dig into the archives. I'm going to look it up and see what.
If you can prove me wrong, we'll have a forfeit. I'll do something related to make atonement for my sins. I sit down and watch like the 3 worst episodes of Raw of the last 20 years and do a recap on it. Your choice.
My choice? I'll tell you what. You can take one of two things. Well, maybe one thing. That wasn't Rey Mysterio in that match. Rey Mysterio versus, I think it was Psychosis at Bash of the Beach 96. Oh, you've seen that already?
Yeah.
Okay, well, never mind about that. I'll find a Rey Mysterio match for you to watch if I'm right.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I win, you gotta watch Rey Mysterio versus the great Khali when he was the champion. And you have to make it sound interesting and give an interesting review on it. You can find something for me to do.
Was that a pay-per-view?
No, I don't. It wasn't. It was on SmackDown.
It was about a few days.
After he won the triple threat, they just
and they were like 3 weeks, and they were 3 weeks away, like 3 to 4 weeks away from Judgment Day.
Okay, I'll try to.
They just decided. You know what? Let's just smash it small.
Oh yeah, I remember that. No, I do remember that. Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to watch that. Jeez. Well, if that is it on Wrestling Takes, we're gonna hop on out of here. And
great talking to you guys.
Same here. And
Shlanta, which means Steerhead.
All right, man. Same here. Twitter Spaces didn't even crash this time. How about that? So we're on to something here. But best of luck to you guys, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
on this. But
All right.
I'm gonna talk to you on Discord if that's cool, man.
Okay. I'll be there.
All right.
All right. Y'all take care.